Hello there. It's good to meet you. Good to see you again, my friends. And boy, do I have something for you to present today. Before you is our prototype of the Environmental Expeditionary suit, or EES, but we're still working on the official designation. And it will have everything that you'll need for exploring the wastelands and fending off the creatures and the environmental hazards. Survival, navigation, physical protection, you name it, we will have it included in this suit. And I hope that as an investor, you are somewhat piqued in your interest on this potential product for future production. Hey, how's it going? I'm not going to keep up the whole character facade for too long, but no, seriously. This is the Environmental Expeditionary suit, and that's what I call it anyway in the book. And this was one of my first projects that I worked on. A quick thank you to my uncle and to my dad. The both of them helped me make this. Because when I was younger, I didn't know quite too much about all the woodworking and the tools. So they were a great help. All of this is harder materials, wood, some metal, PVC pipe, that sort of thing. So it is pretty sturdy. It's a little heavy, not too heavy. I padded the inside shoulder areas so, it doesn't dig into me too much. But, it is a bit on the heavier side. So, let's give this a rundown and start going over what we have here. The helmet, we're going to start on the helmet. You can probably see this really obvious cage on the front, and that's for good reason. So think in universe, you got some sort of creature trying to reach after your face. It might punch through that glass like a hot knife through butter. Very possible. Well, in the books, they would have some wiring hooked up to this in like a power system, a little portable battery system. And, the creature would get caught on the cage and maybe try to grab the cage and rip you forward. Well, guess what? On your control panel, you can zap it. You can zap it off, and it's like a self-defense unit. So yes, this would be a command-only electrified cage. The front faceplate there, I just bought some... I can't remember the exact material it's called, but there are sheets of these sort of plexiglass type stuff that you can buy at Home Depot or whatever. I just cut that down to size. Let's see. I'm holding this cage on here with some springs and eye hooks. So that's held on. And down here it's quite literally just compressed against the helmet. So I can actually pop this. I can actually kind of swing that up. And if I need to, take the light off for maintenance or clean the glass, I can do that. So that is a nice way to maintain the helmet. This does work. Has different light settings. What I will also show real quick now that we're on that subject is I have a small control panel. I was somewhat inspired by the Pip-Boy from Fallout, and actually I took the lights control unit and put this on there. So let's hook everything back up. Okay. So now, with that back up and running, if we take our little control pad here, I have some old belts that I used, just a few switches that I put in there. I used some eye hooks. This is in the closed position, but you can open him up. And push that, and it keeps it held open at an angle. So let's put that on. Okay, so I want to open him up. I can pop my hook in there like that, and I can turn this on. Yes. Okay. And then I can choose different colors as well. Alright, I don't know how well that's being picked up on the camera, but they do, and then I should be able to shut it off, like so. And that is the headlamp. So, that is a functional little piece of kit there. And also I added a wire. I'll have that wrapped around the control unit. This is an old printer cable. You know, they would use this to plug into their terminals and everything. Okay. So yeah, and this cage here, this was literally just like a storage basket I got at, I think, Target or something. And I just cut out a portion. That way I could slot it into the helmet. I did take also like abrasive metal rods, and I took sandpaper. I even took a hammer, and I kind of just beat up the cage to give it like a literal weathered look. That's it for the outside, alright, of the front. We're going to move to the sides. So what you see here is I took like a wire screen mesh patches, right, and I cut them over the sides. These in the universe, like in the books, these would be also like glass. They would exist simply as vision ports. Here though, I can still see out of them. There's enough room in that helmet for me to completely turn my head, so I can see out the sides, and I can also hear pretty well. And also it helps with ventilation. In the book, you know, these would be closed off because of environmental hazards, and they would have a radio set to communicate to one another. In fact, I actually have yes. I actually have the radio set. I don't have, it's a portable PA system, you know, a speaker that you can hook onto your belt. And if you can see here, I'm actually modifying this area for Alien Colonial Marines cosplay. So that's something that's still in the works. But anyway, I have this, I wear this actually inside the helmet, so I can talk to people. So they can, you know, kind of yell at me so I can hear them, and I can speak through this so they can hear me. But it also serves as a visual representation of their radio set. So let's set that aside. And also, let's take a look at these locks. These are on both sides of the suit. See here? This one's already locked. And what I do is I twist it, and it comes down. So both of them, I twist them fold down and take the helmet off. And now it's locked, so it stays on. So, that is the sides of the helmet. There's not too much else to tell here. On the back, you'll see this sort of key shape. And what this is just some PVC that I put over to cover, because I have a fan in here, a battery-powered fan back here. And I use that for ventilation. The button's on the inside, and funny enough, if I slam my head against the button at a certain angle, I can actually control the speed settings. So sometimes I'm walking around a convention and I'm slamming my head back to control the fan. Up here is a handle that I use if I want to just carry the helmet around. And this is a backpack. This is actually an old... what's it? An old paper towel dispenser. I remembered. And it does, in fact, work. Let's see. Ah, yes. One moment while I go get the key that I need for that paper towel dispenser. I'm gonna be right back. Let me think. Where did I put it? I remember now. I'll be right back. Alright, so I found the key that I needed. So let's bring this back. Okay. Let's see. So, this was, funny story behind this is back at my work, this broke, and I said, wait, I can turn that into something. What I did is at the bottom of it, I used an old bed sheet. I glued around the whole, perimeter, and I even added some bolts. And the bottom of this is now a soft bed sheet that I just then painted over. But it does open up, it does carry weight. I've bolted it to the back plate here of the chest piece. So yeah, that opens up. And I've used it at conventions to carry some books I've purchased and little items. I have a spare water container in here. So just, it actually has a purpose. And then, okay, and it just snaps shut. Let's see. We're going to work our way back around. And we're going to pop this off. Also, a quick note is back here, if I separate it, you'll see maybe a slight little wooden bar right here. That wooden bar, when it presses against this main piece, and it stops, I know that basically it immediately tells me that this is lined up forward and back. Because see, this helmet lines up with the hinges perfectly, so I can line it up left and right pretty easily. But I then slide it forward until this bar catches, and I know then I can lock it in place. So let's take this off. And do a quick inspection on the inside. There's a few other quality of life things in here. Inside, I have two fans. Two little fans right there. And they're helping me with defogging. So basically, I put the two fans in there, kind of right below my face, and they help defog and get rid of the moisture in the helmet. They also help a little bit with cooling, not too much. Also, it can help if you thinly coat your surface with maybe like some dish soap, I've heard. That helps a little bit. So, that is really the helmet. There's not too much else. I showed you the handle, the cage, the light, the ventilation, the locks. That's the helmet. Now here is yet another piece that is not just for decoration, but actual utility. Which, when I include this front part, I'm actually going to have to go back to the helmet for it to make sense. But here is an actual water jug inside here. So there's like a water pack, you know, that you have for those camel packs. I put one in here. If I can get this out. There's the little the drink tip. Because if you take the tip off, you can then fit it into a hole inside the helmet. Let me bring that back. So right here is a small little nozzle, little hole that I've made, and I also put a plastic fitting there to help with support and guiding the hose. And if I run it through there and put the tip back on, well, I have water now. It is a bit clunky sometimes when taking the helmet off, but I've not had too many problems with it. Not too many. So yeah, when I'm walking around the convention, I'm not just ventilated, you know, and keeping cool, because those places can get pretty hot. Anybody that goes to a convention, they'll tell you the same. It gets hot and stuffy. But with water and ventilation packed into the cosplay, I'm doing fine. I'm doing good. So it might be a little heavy. It might be a little, you know, thick, a lot of cloth and everything. But it's surprisingly well ventilated and it's comfortable. Let's take this back off. And also a quick note on the power supply. I'll just have like those portable batteries you can use for your phone. I'll have a couple of them tucked away in my pockets and running the wire down, you know. It lasts long enough. They can last, what, 4 to 6 hours? I think that's pretty good. Especially if you just keep everything on like a low setting. Okay. So, this here, again, all wood that I cut out and pieced together. This shroud is just an old t-shirt. I took the collar of an old t-shirt, I cut it up so I could widen it, and fit it to the inside of this. The idea was that it shrouds over the actual suit to provide, you know, a sort of fire shroud or something. I haven't added it yet, actually, but there would also be some Velcro. There would be Velcro that goes around this, the bottom of this, that you then Velcro to the suit. The arms, you can fit your arms through there pretty well. Let's see. So yeah, water, main piece, little armored front there. Again, inside, can't really see it. Let me see if I can get the side. You might be able to see that there is foam underneath, so it pads your shoulders. Doesn't hurt too much? No, it does not. And that is about all there is for this. But wait, there's more. I showed you the little wrist control panel. Let's get a few other items that go with this. So, I imagined, you know, what if they're traveling between two different stations, right? Two different outposts. Well, what if they had a lifeline to guide them through a storm or whatever? Or if they're hooked up to their armored recon vehicle, they can hook on to the vehicle and have a lifeline back to it. That's what this is for. I took a ammunition box, I drilled a hole through the front, and inside here, I'm not going to bother opening it because it's a bit difficult to actually put back together. But inside here is actually a clothesline reel, right? So I can pull this out, it'll retract, and that basically you would just have this hooked on. You take that and you hook it onto your lifeline or your vehicle or whatever, and this would be your guide back to your safety. So I thought that was pretty useful to have, because I think they do something like that in Antarctica where they have guidelines between the stations, the buildings. So there's that. And then finally, we have some shoes. For this, I need something to drink after this video. Just basic snowshoes. Any sort of work boots, that type of thing works pretty well. There's not much to say. Something military looking, right? So, yeah, I just take these, lace them up, tuck the suit legs into them, and that's pretty much it. And then a few final things. Is the a few final things is the suit I've been talking about. This here is just a reusable painter's suit. It's pretty thin. It protects you from any liquids and stuff and any dust, dirt. You know, you can find it at Home Depot or Lowe's. But it's still somewhat breathable. It's not too much, right? It's just about right. So that's what I use as the full body sort of unit. It sort of connects everything together. And then finally, any good pair of work gloves, you know, leather work gloves that you would use in the garage or garden, that works pretty good. Shin guards. Shin guards are also good to lace up around your legs. Again, it just adds to protection out when you're out in the field. A little bit of realism, you know what I mean? And, let's see. So, final check. We've gone through our chest piece. We've gone through the accessories, the helmet. There's not too much else to discuss on this one. Yeah. I think we're doing pretty good. And I think that about wraps it up. Okay. Okay. So, that's about it for the environmental expeditionary suit. Because, yeah, this was a pretty straightforward build as my first one. And it kind of defines a lot of what I go for in the future, you know, even till now. I'm going for stuff that is realistic and even, you know, somewhat actually functional. You know, like, I can see pretty well out of these, you know. The left is, of course, a little occluded, but I can still see pretty good, and I can still breathe pretty well out of this. Although, probably heard me coughing, my allergies are currently kicking my butt. I hate the pollen. But yeah. So, the suit, that's about it. It really defined and, kind of helped me figure out the style I like to go for in all my builds. So, I don't know what the future one's going to be. I think it's going to be the big mechanical hand thing I got out in the garage. I got to find all the parts for that. So I'll recollect everything, look through my storage, and put that back together, and I'll showcase that. I may make a few short showcases about individual props, just to kind of fill the time. But yeah, that about does it for this episode of the Cosplay Corner. And I hope you found it somewhat, somewhat enjoyable. Maybe giving you an idea or something. If you have any ideas about this as well, to improve or replace something. That's what this is all about, sharing ideas. So, I thank you for those that stopped by. I thank you for your time. It means a lot to be able to finally, have the courage to share this type of stuff with other people. Instead of just sharing it at conventions only, you know what I mean? So, I thank you for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.